Hey, I'm Proportion from Proportional Studios. I thought I'd make a video on my animation process for my job. In case you didn't know, I have an Unity asset called Props Animations. It has uh, just a sec. Yeah, it has a ton of animations in it, and I'll just quickly show you this demo. And yeah, so it's got lots of different actions that people can use in their game, and I was going to show you my process with one of the animations. So I'll just go to the queue. The current animation I'm up to is this small sword jab and uppercut. I'll just play that again so you can see it a bit better. Hopefully I can get a bit of a better resolution there. Right, and this is the animation I'll be doing for this lesson. Stab, swing up. So let's look at that again. I'll make it so he steps forward with the left leg as he does his jab. And then he does a double step thing there for his swing up. So let's get started. Just add a new animation, call it one hand sword jab combo. Press the F button to fake it, so if Blender crashes or something, I don't lose everything. I'll remove all the keyframes from the previous animation. Sorry about that, train's going by. And let's get started. The first thing I do is skip about 10 frames and do the first key pose, which in that animation would be, wait for it, there, that long straight jab, fully extended leg back. So I'll lean the dude out to about here. Oops, let me just grab his arm so I don't have to try and find that. Lean the dude out. Rotate his leg. Bring up the foot. Bring the other leg forward. Arm forward. Bring that shoulder out because actually keep the hips on that side, and that right shoulder I'll bring out more. Lean it all down. That's just the elbow thing, moving that down. his head down, eyes up. I'll even turn his head so it gives a bit more sort of depth to it, and bring this hand down around there and make the elbow into a good posie for it. And that looks about it. I'll just rotate his butt down a bit so it didn't look so far sticking out, sort of thing. And yeah, his right hand with the shield was in more, so I'm gonna put this more here, and his back was leaning more upright on that one. So about that looks pretty good. Just make sure that there's a little bit of a bend in the arm, because that can cause some errors later on. And that's about where the target would be. Alright, so let's see how that looks. Looks pretty plain. It doesn't look like a jab at the moment, so we have to get somewhere around there and bring the hand back for a jabbing motion. So let's take a look at this again. So he's still standing upright when he's doing his pre-jab. So let's just go back through that again. So he swings right back, with his sword still facing forward, and swings his arms in to complement the motion. So let's go to about here, and I am going to copy the original hip position and the original foot position. I'll rotate back here. Bring his hand back. And make his body lean back to give him a bit of a swing action there. Just trying to find this elbow. Alright, that's starting to look pretty good. I just want a bit of a pause there, so similar to this animation, he sort of holds it back a little bit before he goes in for his swing. So we'll try and do the same effect. All I'll do is copy paste that about 2 or 3 frames along. And then just make him lean back subtly a little bit more. Actually, I just don't like that hip position there from the last frame. Just gave it a little bit of a rotation to make it move. Oops, I accidentally chose the Wrong keyframe there, I'll just slide that over. That gives that little bit of a delay thing. I'll just rotate his shoulders there so it's got a little bit of extra added movement. And I will move this wrist down a tad there. And his head looks like an awkward position there, so I will just lean it back there and put the eyes over here. Alright, that looks pretty boss. Now for the actual jab, I'll just make sure his hand goes around the body. So where it is there, I'll bring that out and rotate the hand out and rotate the, there it is, the elbow out as well. I'll just bring that right out so when it interpolates it doesn't get too close to the elbow area there. Oops, yeah, I'll rotate that a bit. Yeah. Just play that through to see what it looks like in real time. I'll just give a little bit of slack so I can see it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll just extend this by 2 frames just to slow that jabbing motion a bit. See how that looks. Just bring that one in 1 frame. Yeah, that looks pretty solid there. So, after the jab, the character here pauses for a moment, and you can see there's a little bit of a jump as he, not a jump, just you can see his hand and body slightly move up and down. So I want to emulate that before I start into the second part of the swing. And the easy fix of that is you just copy that pose, put it about, what was that, 4 or 5 frames through, and then halfway between you'd just move that and his body down a little bit. And that looks pretty good. I'll just rotate that up a touch so that, because that's where he'd be stabbing the guy, so that sort of part of the sword would still be in the character. See how that looks? Yeah. That jiggle looks a bit too fast, so I'll just stretch it out. And what I will also do is, because he seems to stop straight away, like the second he gets to there, everything stops moving forwards. So what I'll do is, on this frame, I'll just move everything forward a slight bit. See how that looks. move it slightly forward here too. I reckon that looks pretty good. I'm just going to move this slightly forward a bit more. Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. So now I will start on the second motion. Let's have a look at it again. Jab. Alright, he brought his hand over the left side of his body and then swung up with, like, his chest moved up and then his arm followed. So chest, arm. So that's what I'll try to copy with this. And the first thing as before, I'll get the key pose. So I think the first key pose would be just a touch before that. It's hard to get on a YouTube video. Pretty much I want his arm straight up in the air or out 45 degrees forward from him, and I'll make that the first key pose. Let me just double check what he does with his feet there. It looked a bit funky. So as before he did the swing, he stepped forward with his right foot there a tiny bit, and then to give him a little bit of stepping room with his left foot. See, there's this first step, and then he steps with his left foot. So I'll do that as the first pose, the whole crouch in thing. Let's go back to that. Sorry about this, it's just hard to... There it is. So hands over the left side and he's crouched right in. Let's do that a few frames ahead. Bring that in, that down. Bring his body to a position where it's over the weight of the 2 feet. Bring that knee out a bit. Bringing that more to the original rotation. And I'll bring that shoulder down because that's the shoulder that will be doing most of the swing, the right one. Bring that hand into its position and follow the elbow through. I'm going to get that elbow right up, as that's the most, like, the sword will follow the position of the elbow. And just checking that his left hand with the shield was right out to give some space for the sword to go in. Oops, I was off the keyframe there. I'll just move that back. and I'll just rotate the head to a more natural position. I'm actually going to move the shoulder out a bit too, because it looked a bit wonky sitting in its original position. And I want the guy to crouch down a bit more too, to complement the forward move after he on the next frame. So I'll bring him down a touch there. Actually a bit more. Couldn't really notice that. Yeah, you can notice that. Awesome. Alright, now the next keyframe will be him standing up. The weapon will be about 45 degrees out there. About that sort of pose is what I'm looking for. And should be good. Let's see how this goes. So just go forward a few more. Stand him upright. Get that elbow to the follow through posse. Making his eyes look in the right spot. Actually, I'm going to stick at this 90-degree spot. And don't forget to step with the leg. I'll just hold both the position of the hip and the hand so it all goes forward. Bring that up a bit. Bring that even further forward. That foot was moving there. Just step that up. Give it a small rotate. Just scrubbing through there to make sure it looks pretty good. Just bring that arm further back to counterweight the other arm going forward. Yeah, it's got to go right back more. Yeah, that looks about right. Now go to next keyframe, which would be the weapon straight up in the air. So he'll be standing practically upright when he gets to it. And chest will be all out to the right hand side. Now this is the spot where I'll cancel that rotation on the shoulder. Bringing the hand to the right spot, following the elbow through. Getting that weapon rotation. Pulling the hips up a bit more. Just grab this hand as well. And get his head into the right spot. Just make him turn his head a little bit off center. Sure. And put this hand in a better spot because it looks a bit awkward out there. His hand would probably be right over the front of him now to counter his arms sort of being behind him. It's just quite a rapid movement with the hand. I'll bring it back a bit. And just so it's not a wild movement, I'll bring this other hand back in a bit. Actually, no, I'll bring that hand back where it was, and I'll bring this one around there-ish. That's where it is. Where his shoulders, like I didn't put any shoulder rotations into the last, this last pose, so I'll rotate these around a bit more. So that it doesn't look like such a rapid movement. Getting that there-ish, and bring this back just a touch. Bring the top bit back around a bit more. Bring the weapon more to the side. Just looked a bit too awkward being that far over the shoulder. Looks good. I just wanted to move this hand forward so it wasn't in the same spot as it was before. Just bringing this one a touch over more to give it more of a natural motion. And let's see what he does for the rest of it. The weapon just stays at the back after the full rotation, and then I'll go back to the original pose. Where am I? Blender. So I'll bring this back down to, or up a touch. Right, second last key pose. I'll bring the hips back a touch to follow the direction of the sword. Bring the elbow right back around because it's still following the same motion. Bring the sword somewhere around. And rotate his body back to follow the weight of the sword. Bring this hand around to sort of get into a defensive position. Just make his hips go back a little bit more. And I'll rotate this straight back. Let's bring that out so his hand's a bit more straighter. Bring that down there. And that should be pretty good, but what I want is to not have what's called root motion. I want it to be fixed so his hips stay around the center area, as most games go with make their own movement scripted rather than going with the root motion of the original animation. So what I'll do is at each keyframe I'll copy the entire pose, and then I will bring the hips back at each position so that he stays in the relatively the same position. And see how it looks. All I'm doing is looking at his hips so that like the back bit of his bum sort of goes over the Z-axis line. And then I'll copy in the last pose there. So let's see how that looks. That foot bringing in thing that he does there was very quick. So what I want to do is drag that out a couple of frames and just copy that frame right there, one frame later. So it just gives that slight subtle pause there for that before that second swing. And that looks pretty good to me. Just double checking to see that I'm not seeing any imperfections. Actually, that last swing there felt a bit slow to me. See, it's just, yeah. So I will speed that up a bit from here. Just grab all of these and scale it in a little bit. Let's see how that goes. A little bit faster. Whoops. You got to put the frame thing where you want to scale down. That's faster. I just want this frame here to have the sword more rotated to give a final sword position, and I'll scale that away more. So that it takes longer to get back after the swing. And I will bring this weapon down a lot more about here, so it's got a bit of follow movement when it gets back to its original position. Right, let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's looking pretty sweet. Let's look at it compared to the original again. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Alright, so that's it for this video, and I'll probably make another one on the next animation. Thanks for watching.